Desert Life with Maria. We're in the kitchen, a little dance here because we had some really weird, funky starts on Facebook. So I had to get into the dance mode a little bit. So we are talking today about what I do just before Christmas, which is bake, bake, bake. I love to bake. So I am going to share with you some little tidbits on holiday pies and what I do prior to actually baking them on Christmas Eve, because today is Christmas Eve. So, apple pie, one of the most popular ones during the holidays, especially for Christmas, and it's not even an American apple pie. No, it's actually Dutch and English origins. Yes, back to the 1600s, brought over by the colonists, by pirates, and believe it or not, the first apple pies had crackers in them. The crackers were basically mixed in and became part of the crust. So we've evolved quite a bit. So I'm going to start with part of the prep work that I do for the apple pie. And it begins with my pastry. Now, I like to make, since now I'm doing more on the clean eating, I've shifted from making an all flour to an almond flour pastry, which is a little bit different texture. It's a little bit flakier. It doesn't tend to have the longevity, but our pies don't last long here anyway. So I've already made my dough and rolled it out. And the only difference between the recipes of almond flour, if you use that like I do, is that instead of vegetable oil, which it's not so hot, that most people use for their pastries, I add some egg whites. So now that it's been rolled out, what I like to do the day before is make my little designs. So I've got a heart, I've got a little star, and a snowman. And I do it around the rim of the pastry. So I'm going to do a few. And I do it around the rim because afterwards I'm going to take that dough, put it back, mold it up, wrap it up so it looks something like this, back in wax paper. And then I'll just slowly roll it out for tomorrow for my pie. But in the meantime, the reason I'm doing this ahead of time, so here's a heart, and I'm going to take the little toppings of this, and I am going to dip it lightly in what I've already grounded. Here's what I've grounded. And what did I grind, Maria? Tapioca, all right, which is better than cornstarch. It's the best filler for your pies, without all the yuckiness of cornstarch. And I added 1 spoonful of a protein mix, vanilla, to give it some flavor and some umph. So I took those two and I grounded them up, and I came up with almost like a flour consistency. So what I'm going to do with my little decorations is I'm going to actually dip them in this little flour mixture of tapioca and protein mix. Then these are going to go, there's 2 that I've already done here, on parchment paper, and I'm going to continue to do that with all my little decorations, and I will have several already sitting there. And I go, what am I going to do with them? After I'm all done with them, they're going to get covered with saran wrap. I put them on parchment paper, they'll get covered with saran wrap, and I'll lightly refrigerate them. The reason I want to do that is since they're going to be part of my decoration, I'm going to lightly egg wash them tomorrow, which you'll see tomorrow. So that's my pastry. Let's move on to what else I've done for the prep work for today. So the apple pie, as you can see over here, I've taken Granny apples, and people say, well, why do we use Granny? Granny, number 1, are a little bit tartar, and you notice I'm mixing them, and what I'm mixing them with is lemon juice, organic lemon juice, about 1/4 cup. What I've got in here, I cut earlier today, this morning. And hi, Pat. Hi, Karen. Thanks for watching. And oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so excited. Oh, yes, it is recorded, so you can watch this. And the recipe will be put down later too, Karen. So what I do is the granny apple. Let's get back to the granny apple before I tell you what's in here with the lemon juice. Why a granny apple and why is that better? Out of all the apple families, you've got Sweet Delicious, you've got Washington, there's like a plethora of apples, but in an apple family, the green apple, the granny green apple, is the best for you because it has the least amount of sugar content and the most amount of fiber. And in terms of an apple pie, because of its tartness, the sweetness that it does have comes out in the baking, and the flavor profile is amazing. And they tend to be a little bit more crunchier in the beginning, which makes the baking process amazing. So the lemon juice, why that? Because you want to try to keep it from browning, and also it brings out the tartness and the sweetness of the green apple. So if you do this the night before and let it sit, so I prepared the apples, and here's another little tidbit. A lot of people, you've seen them do the real thin slices. Nothing wrong with that, but the thinner the slice, the mushier your apple pie may tend to be. You want to be able to see your apples when you're eating the apple pie. So I like to make it a little bit thicker on the slices, add my lemon juice, and this will literally sit overnight. So step one, we've done our pastry with our little decorations. Step two, we've done our apples. And what's the third step that we're going to do for our prep? You're going to get some stevia sugar because it's better than regular sugar. It's not been refined. It's plant-based. It doesn't have all the high sugar content in the processing. Ugh. So stevia sugar and coconut sugar. So what I've done is I've taken enough to make about a quarter cup, maybe a little bit more, and I put it into a bowl with about 3/4 of a cube of Earth Balance vegan butter. And now what I'm doing is, you'll see, I'm mixing it. It's almost creamy in texture. When it's all creamed up, hi, Jeannie. Oh my God, Jeannie, we've got to get together for our glass of wine. Girl, COVID sucks. I'm baking for my mom and for my daughter, Jeannie. Okay, so one last tidbit is in this mixture, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to add a little bit of cinnamon. If you want to know the exact proportion, I would say about maybe 1/4 teaspoon, but I kind of just know, and I like a little dash of nutmeg as well. So I put both of those in there, more cinnamon than nutmeg, kind of mix it up, and now it's creamy. Now what's going to happen is when you refrigerate this with saran wrap as well, the butter is going to start to coagulate, right? It's going to harden. And you'll be able to kind of crunch this up with a little fork, and that you will crumble into your apple mixture instead of just slices of butter. Now you've got a nice coconut in there flavor with your stevia, you've got cinnamon, you've got nutmeg. Oh, amazing. And then the final tip, and you'll see this tomorrow, is what my special ingredient is for the apple pie. So today, if you want to make one, do a little prep work. It's easy. You've got your pastry that you're going to make, which is almond flour, water, 2 or 3 egg whites, depending on how many pastries you're going to make. And that is pretty much your pastry. Cut out your dessert, little stars. Yes. Who else is watching? We've got Donna. Donna, you're watching. Thank you. The recipe for all this will be posted down below. I'll have the pastry. I'll have what the apple pie is going to be like on tomorrow's, because we'll do the final showing of the apple pie. So the main thing to do is to have fun in the kitchen. And the best way you can have fun is by being prepared, have a little music, and enjoy knowing you're being of service to yourself and others. So we'll see you tomorrow with the final product. This is our prep work for today. See you tomorrow.